every year I think that a lot of people join with me and get really caught up for some reason with March Madness, college basketball for about 3 weeks. It's pretty funny because usually you don't have any connection to the school. You might not even know any of the players on your favorite team if you have one. And I just find it remarkable. I think that March Madness is the best sporting event in the USA. And I don't know about the rest of the world. Obviously, I do enjoy the World Cup. I do enjoy football, but I still think March Madness has some sort of randomness about it that really sets it apart from the rest of the sports and entertainment world. And I actually went today. Today was the first four, okay? And I don't remember the last time I watched any of the first four games. Those are the games that you play to get into the tournament if you're one of the teams that's on the bubble to get in as one of the two last 16 seeds or one of the two last 11 seeds. So the NCAA tournament, when I read about it back in the day, reading about some of the past teams, it just seemed like this almost it was like a temporary work of art. Sometimes I hear about this thing called Dada art, which is art that you would just destroy once you finished it. And that's how I think of the NCAA tournament. You don't have much time. Your career could end at any moment. Most of these players will probably never play on a professional level, and in many cases, they could be headed for, a very uncertain world because, let's be honest, a lot of these athletes they get pressured into majors that don't really make any sense. Majors like communications or sociology, and I've actually written about this before on the Hard News Network, saying that we do need to move towards an almost professional tier tier of college basketball. We have to get rid of the amateurism in college basketball and the student athlete myth. And basically, these schools would be having these people play as, contracted wage workers of some sort or salaried workers. And I would say though that I think that even with that change, which I think is necessary, we would be losing something very unique about college basketball, which is that teams that are virtually, they're virtually the only thing that their school is known for. Gardner Webb got into the tournament this year. You have Farley Dickinson. They were playing today in the first four. You have Belmont. You have Wavard. Those teams that keep getting into the tournament and appearing year on year, those teams are they're a symbol of small town America, sometimes of people who grew up very modest circumstances, maybe came from they came from a home that they never thought they'd be playing at some school in the middle of Indiana like Valparaiso because maybe they grew up in some place like Detroit, right? So what brings somebody who they may have never had the chance to travel, never had the chance to really be somebody who's part of a group of people and gets to travel around the country. What makes them go to a school like Valparaiso, a school like like Duke? Okay, what makes you go to Duke? In the case of most of these people, it's not the academics, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think unfortunately we've mixed Duke, we've mixed a lot of these prestigious schools. We've mixed their academics with their their marketing. NCAA basketball is marketing, NCAA football is marketing, and I don't think that we should continue with this whole charade about these people being student athletes. Some of them, I think, if they're really interested in being student athletes, what I would propose is that we start just paying these people kind of a salary of, a regular wage earner salary, something like $75,000 a year, their freshman year. I think it would be weighted based on how many stars they had as a recruit. Obviously, a walk-on would probably make chump change, but it still means something, and it would still give them a motivation to continue playing college basketball beyond 1 year. Now, the whole one and done rule, I think, should be done away with completely. The NBA, if somebody is good enough to play in the NBA without going to college, and then why have them go through this whole charade this year of going to college, playing their ass off until the tournament, tanking their tournament game, and then declaring for the NBA draft next year, or sorry, this year in a few months, in the locker room after they lose. That's what happened last year with Arizona. Complete and total disgrace. So people who do that, I think they really are cheating. They're cheating their fans. Okay, and I know for some people they would say, well, what do I care what the fans think? I'm trying to play basketball so that I can make a living for the people that are important for me. I get that. Then if you have that attitude, you have to remember that people watch the game for a reason. And yeah, I think a lot of these low-seeded teams like Fairleigh Dickinson that they played today beat Prairie View, and I believe Belmont also won today. Those are the teams that make the tournament worth watching, because when those players that know that they don't really have a chance to go on to the pros, they play their hardest and put out the product that they've been working their entire lives to showcase. That really is something that you don't see very often on the professional level in the NBA at all. You don't see nearly as much in football nowadays, because a lot of these players in football are kind of minding their health. Okay, that's a practical consideration. Baseball, there's kind of a whole strategy. How much do you use a certain person? Can you really keep using a pitcher without throwing their arm out and having them go for Tommy John surgery too early? So they'll shut down a pitcher for the end of the season if they're like, well, this year we're just not going to compete, so we're going to put who was it? Steven Strasburg on the non-injury DL, whatever it was. So yeah, I think that the NCAA tournament still has the mystique needed in order to get me to watch, in order to get a lot of people to watch. There's the gambling aspect. There's the aspect of knowing that every single game is almost like a totally new tournament. You don't have this repeat of we'll lose today, but we'll win the series. That's what went wrong with the NBA. That's kind of what's gone wrong in a lot of these professional sports, that you remove the urgency and people just have this feeling that it's going to be a long series. We can strategize it this way. Yeah, there's an advantage for that. There's an advantage with that for the teams. There's no advantage in that for the fan. Okay? You're basically stuck watching the teams yo-yo back and forth. And in the end, some of them, I don't think, really care that much, and they're willing to take a playoff loss, because I believe in many cases, teams still get a playoff bonus. So yeah, that's just a few of my thoughts. It was a great first day of basketball in the NCAA tournament. I just thought I'd do a topic that's much less to do with it has to do with current events, but it has nothing to do with all of the negativity going on in the world. So please like this video, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channel, Bold Like a Leopard, and also please subscribe to me on BitChute, Bold Like a Leopard, as well as Minds, Gab, and all the other social media in the links below. And I'll talk to you later. All the links are in the comments and should be on Dissenter.